Hi, I am Helen Tanu, and this is my podcast on society and the individual for this unit in world history. So, I decided to research about the topic engagement in class during distance learning. Why did I choose this topic? Because I felt like I wasn't being engaged in class, and I wanted to see if other students feel the same way I do. So I panned out a survey of consisting of 22 students, so that's like 1/10 of the grade, to see if they feel like the um, the engagement in class has affected their learning and yeah, how distance learning has affected their engagement in class. So distance learning has affected students' engagement in a negative manner. From 22 students, I found out that 72% of students feel like they're distracted during class. Why are these students getting distracted? There are many factors as to why students are getting distracted, such as the working environment and electronics. One student quoted, I get distracted due to notifications on social media, or I just get bored, and because it's so easy to just make a new tab, it's very easy to get distracted and stop paying attention. Another example is that 50% of students feel like they are getting most distracted in math and Spanish class, while 45.5% feel less distracted in English and world history class. Some reason for this is because students feel like they are interested in the topic or they feel like the class is interactive. Some students quote, sometimes class isn't as interesting or just they are just explaining things to others. Class is not very entertaining and it's hard to not just go on my phone, mostly when the activity is not interactive. So, how does this relate back to distance learning affecting students' engagement in a negative way? Before the pandemic, students couldn't use their phone during class. The class was interactive and the teacher could see what you were doing. In addition, the working environment really affects students as they are not on the computer the whole time and actually doing interactive activities on campus. In my survey, 63% of students responded saying they don't feel engaged during distance learning, while 72% feel like they were engaged on campus. Only 18% feel like nothing has changed from on campus to distance learning. So, why should you believe me? So I am Hillington Wu, a sophomore at Colegio Franklin Delano Roosevelt in Lima, Peru. In this podcast, I answered the question, how has distance learning affected students' engagement in class? So I felt like I wasn't getting engaged in many classes because of different factors, and I wanted to see if other students felt the same way as well. Uh, why should we trust this survey? We should trust this survey because I am an FDR student and I have experienced this doing distance learning. And a limitation for this survey is that, as I said before, it only pans out 1/10 of the students in our grade. Only 22 students out of 120 approximately have answered my survey. So, what will my responses be to this survey compared to other students? I feel like this survey is a really good way to understand which classes are being the most boring, leading to students' engagement in class being less. I personally think that math class is really hard for both the teacher and the students. Teachers find it very difficult to teach math online because they can't have a whiteboard and it's very difficult for them to teach on an online whiteboard. Students normally don't like to learn math on campus already, so imagine what it would be like for them to learn online while having distractions such as a phone. This is the main reason I feel like I'm not engaged in math and classes I don't like the topic about. For example, in world history, I feel like I'm learning about the topic because I'm actually engaged in the learning and the topic is interesting. In science, I feel like the topic is boring, yes, but the teacher makes it interactive, so I feel like time passes by very quickly. As I said before, many students feel the same way about distance learning as I do. Students say that the classes are boring and not interesting. 50% of them said that math is really hard to be engaged in, as I already mentioned before, and 50% say that history is a really easy class to be engaged in. To conclude this podcast, I carried out a survey in which 22 students responded to. I already said that. The survey consisted of questions related to distance learning and engagement during class. About 63% of students feel like they are not engaged in class and get distracted a lot, while 72% feel like they are engaged much more on campus than online. This survey helped me get an idea as to what students feel about distance learning and engagement during class. Again, there's only a portion of students in grade 10, and the next steps that I should take will be uh, getting everyone from my grade to respond to this survey, and so that I have a clearer view of what students actually feel, and I get like the percentages more accurate and a more accurate representation of what would the whole high school feel like. So thank you for listening to this podcast. Yeah.